5:01 local time. Steel vibrates under a steady load. The sea is calm, almost polished, like a dark mirror reaching all the way to the horizon. On the bridge, voices stay low. In the Combat Information Center below, console light washes every face in muted blue. Then one tone cuts through the quiet. Sonar has a contact, not loud, not fast. Just there. Bearing steady. Depth uncertain. Speed low enough to disappear into the ocean's own background noise. The kind of presence that never needs to announce itself. It simply exists. Mark contact, continuous track. The plot settles. The trace stays true. It doesn't drift like a whale. It doesn't flicker like debris. It moves with intention, riding a cold water layer that bends sound and hides mistakes. The officer of the watch leans in. No rush, no theatrics. This is exactly what the ship was built to handle. Another update crosses the screen. The contact shifts course by 2 degrees, just enough to stay outside a clean solution, just enough to test whether anyone is truly watching. They are. Passive sonar arrays trail behind the ship like invisible nets. Every vibration, every whisper of cavitation, every mechanical rhythm is compared against an acoustic library built over decades. The ocean may hide things, but machines remember. This contact doesn't match merchant traffic. It doesn't match fishing gear. It doesn't match anything that belongs here. Unknown submerged contact. Maintain track. The bridge acknowledges with no reaction. Course and speed remain unchanged. No sharp turn, no sudden surge. The ship refuses to flinch. Another tone sounds below. Cleaner this time. A faint harmonic rises out of the noise floor. Not enough for a full identification, but enough to confirm one thing. The contact is listening too. Recommend condition 3. The words are brief, stripped of emotion, because emotion adds nothing here. Condition 3. Key stations manned. Across the ship, movement spreads in disciplined silence. Hatches close, systems come alive. Nothing is rushed, nothing is wasted. This is not escalation. It is posture. The contact edges closer. Range ticks down slowly, deliberately. Whoever is down there knows exactly how fast they are moving and exactly how close they can come without forcing a visible response. Professional, calculated, confident. A junior sonar operator catches a change in the return. The contact dips, then steadies, sinking deeper into the sound channel. A textbook move. Hide where detection is hardest, where the sea forgives mistakes. The supervisor gives one small nod. He's good. No nationality is spoken. No flag is guessed. Down here, that doesn't matter. What matters is behavior, and what the contact is doing is positioning. The ship continues on track, a gray hull cutting a white wake through calm water, acting as though it hasn't noticed the shadow below. Every second is logged. Every adjustment is time-stamped. The captain studies the plot in silence. He doesn't ask for options. He already knows them. Passive tracking continues. No active sonar yet. Not because the ship lacks it, but because it doesn't need it. An active ping would light the water like a flare, broadcasting presence to everyone nearby. For now, silence is the sharper tool. Another bearing update. The contact settles off the starboard quarter, holding a shadow position built on patience and leverage. A classic approach. Close enough to matter, far enough to deny certainty. In the CIC, analysts begin building a picture from fragments. Blade rate estimates, machinery cadence, the rise and fall of an acoustic signature. The data offers no name, but it offers intent. This is approach geometry. Somewhere beneath the keel, someone believes they have found an opportunity. The sea stays calm, the sky stays empty. To anyone above the surface, it is just another ship on another quiet transit. Below the surface, the real line has already been drawn. The contact slows again, matching speed, refining geometry. It isn't running, it isn't drifting, it is stalking. Contact maintains track, no behavioral change. The report is flat and factual, but everyone in the room understands exactly what it means. This is not curiosity. This is not coincidence. This is deliberate. The captain gives a single nod. Still no order to escalate. Not yet. Because in a contest like this, the first move is not noise. It is patience. And patience is exactly what the ship intends to use. 5:29 local time. Nothing above the surface has changed. The horizon remains clean. The wake stays straight. From the bridge, the sea looks detached, almost peaceful enough to make you forget what is happening underneath. In the Combat Information Center, the plot says otherwise. Contact adjusting depth. The change is subtle. 5 meters down, then steady. A move meant to sink deeper into the sound channel, where temperature layers bend, returns, and blur edges. Not random, intentional. The kind of move made by a crew that understands the ocean as well as the ship tracking them. Passive arrays reach farther, stripping noise away from signal. The contact sharpens for a moment, then softens again as speed drops by half a knot. That tells its own story. They're testing. The ship holds course and speed. No helm order, no visible reaction. The worst possible mistake now would be to show interest too early. Inside the CIC, technicians isolate pieces of the sound. A faint rhythm appears, regular, mechanical, repeating. Not enough to assign a hull number, but more than enough to rule out anything civilian. Probable military submarine. The words land without emphasis. No one looks up. Another bearing update. The contact slides laterally across the ship's baffles, probing the blind spot where stern noise can hide an approach. Old doctrine, still effective. The supervisor marks the movement with a grease pencil, then taps the plot twice. He's checking whether we follow. They don't. The ship answers with discipline, holding steady and letting the submarine commit to the geometry. Every move the contact makes reveals something. Acceleration, turn quality, noise control, timing. That information is more valuable than a quick reaction. A low-frequency tone creeps into the background, then disappears. Not an active ping, more like a cautious internal check. Someone down there is preparing for a longer game. Range decreasing slowly. The numbers count down with patience, measured in minutes, not seconds. This is not a sprint, it is deliberate positioning. Above, sailors continue routine watchstanding. Coffee steams, logbooks fill. Nothing in their posture suggests the pressure building below. That is intentional too. In sonar, the team works in near silence. Headsets on, eyes fixed, every update recorded to the second. The ocean sounds chaotic if you don't understand it. Once you do, it becomes brutally honest. The contact settles again, directly astern, tucked neatly into the ship's acoustic shadow. A bold choice. From there, the submarine can trail without revealing much, though it also narrows its own options if things change quickly. Contact in the baffles. A pause follows. Not fear, calculation. The captain studies the plot. Still no active sonar, still no helicopter. The ship remains outwardly steady, almost complacent. Almost, because beneath the calm, the data is stacking up fast. Blade rate consistency, machinery harmonics, turn radius, acceleration lag. Each detail fills another blank. This is no simple reconnaissance pass. This is an approach. The submarine creeps closer, reducing distance in small increments, too subtle to trigger alarms, yet too consistent to ignore. Someone down there believes they are still unseen. Someone believes they have found the right angle. A new overlay appears in the CIC, predicted movement based on current behavior. The projected path curves forward into a position that favors control and options, a firing quality geometry. Recommend maintain passive, continue logging. The bridge agrees. Silence becomes a deliberate instrument. The contact shifts again, easing slightly to port, just enough to peek out of the baffles and see whether the ship gives chase. It doesn't. No turn, no speed change. That answer matters. Below, the submarine holds nearly still for 3 full minutes. Long enough to listen, long enough to decide. Then it moves again. This time the shift is more confident. Speed increases by a full knot. Depth stabilizes. The submarine is no longer sampling possibilities, it is committing. The supervisor exhales slowly. He thinks we're blind. The plot updates again. Symbols move closer, lines tighten. No alarms, no announcements, no dramatic voices over the speakers. But everyone who needs to know understands one fact very clearly now. The shadow is not passing by. It intends to stay. 5:41 local time. The contact changes its behavior again. Not sharply, not recklessly, just enough to matter. Speed increases by another knot. Depth holds. The turn is shallow, almost casual, but the meaning is precise. On the plot, the geometry tightens. The lines begin to converge in a way that leaves little room for interpretation. He's building a solution. The words are almost quiet enough to disappear into the room. In sonar, a fresh pattern appears. The acoustic signature sharpens, then smooths again as the submarine trims itself into a steady path. That steadiness is the tell. This is no longer maneuvering, this is setup. The contact moves forward of the baffles, trading concealment for control. From there, the angles favor engagement options. From there, choices multiply. The ship does not react. No course change, no speed change, no active sonar. The captain watches the plot without comment. Letting the submarine believe its own picture costs nothing. Correcting that belief too early would. Another update arrives. The contact pauses lateral movement and settles into a narrow corridor off the ship's quarter. The range is now close enough to matter. Close enough that a mistake on either side could shrink decision time to seconds. Contact steady, bearing constant. In the CIC, analysts run probability overlays. At this geometry, a fire control system would have a clean picture. Range rate, aspect, motion, all the pieces needed to make a choice. That choice has not been made, but the door is open. A subtle change ripples across the noise floor. Brief, controlled. Easy to miss unless you know exactly what you're hearing. Not a launch, not even close. A system transition. Possible weapon alignment. No one raises their voice. Down below, the submarine commander believes he has found the right ship. A surface combatant moving steadily, no escorts in sight, no aircraft overhead, no obvious anti-submarine posture. From his perspective, it looks like opportunity. From this ship's perspective, it looks like a serious misread. The captain finally speaks. One sentence. Calm and measured. Continue passive. Let him finish. Because there is value in being chosen, the submarine inches closer, committing fully to the geometry. Speed holds, depth holds. Bearing remains fixed. The movement now is minimal, limited to tiny corrections that refine angle and timing. This is no longer a probe. This is intent. In sonar, the team isolates another detail, a faint repeating modulation buried deep in the contact's signature. It matches a known class pattern. Not enough to say the class aloud, enough to confirm the type of platform. Attack submarine profile consistent. The supervisor nods once. Logged, stamped, stored. Still, the ship does not move. Above deck, the ocean remains glassy. Sunlight climbs higher. A seabird crosses the wake and vanishes into open sky. To anyone outside, nothing is happening. Below the surface, everything is. The contact adjusts again by a fraction of a degree. The kind of change made when you are satisfied with your picture and want to preserve it. The kind of change made when you are waiting. The CIC clock advances. Every second feels longer than it should. The ship's systems are fully awake now, fully manned, fully aware, yet still quiet. Defensive systems remain inactive. Active sonar remains dark. The helicopter stays on deck, blades folded, waiting. This restraint is not hesitation. It is design, because the submarine still believes the ship has not noticed. That belief has weight. It creates confidence. And confidence eventually creates exposure. Another faint shift passes through the sonar feed. This time, there is no doubt. A change in internal machinery rhythm consistent with final checks. No tube flooding, no unmistakable last step, but close. Likely weapon-ready state. Even spoken softly, the phrase lands hard. The captain never looks away from the plot. He does not ask how much time remains. He already knows. This is the moment when the hunter decides whether to commit, reposition, or break away. And the submarine, convinced it still owns the advantage, holds course and waits, unaware that by choosing this geometry, by committing this deeply, it has already surrendered the one thing it needed most: a clean way out. The ocean remains quiet. The ship remains steady. And beneath the keel, the countdown continues without a sound. 5:50 local time. The geometry breaks. Not because the submarine acts, not because the ship panics, because the ship decides waiting has done its job. Execute ASW sequence. The order is almost casual, but below deck, everything changes instantly. Systems that have been warm go hot. Data streams merge. Passive inputs fuse with predictive models, refined by years of training and real-world tracking. The image on the screen sharpens from probability into certainty. The helicopter lifts off with no theatrics, no siren, no public announcement, just the deep, heavy beat of rotors as it clears the deck and skims low over the wake with practiced ease. Its sensors are already working, gathering surface and subsurface data as it accelerates away. Below, the submarine hears it. At first, only a distant rhythm, then unmistakable rotor noise. The contact hesitates, just for a moment, barely a second. But the sonar team catches it immediately. Machinery cadence stutters, then resumes slightly louder than before. That hesitation says everything. The helicopter drops its first buoy. A clean splash, then quiet. The buoy listens. A second buoy follows, placed with care. Then another, not a random scatter. A shaped line. A barrier meant not to block movement, but to guide it into bad choices. The kind of pattern that doesn't force a reaction. It punishes the wrong one. Buoy field established. Now the submarine moves. Depth changes abruptly, too abruptly. It dives hard, trying to punch through the layer that had protected it. Speed spikes for the first time since initial contact. That speed creates noise, and noise destroys concealment. Contact breaking pattern, track strong. The ship remains steady, but the balance has shifted completely. What had been a shadow becomes a trace. What had been uncertain becomes unmistakable. Active sonar comes alive. One ping, controlled, focused, narrow. The sound moves through the water like a spotlight. Not a blind sweep, a deliberate aim. The return is immediate, clear, solid, impossible to deny. Contact firm, solution quality high. On the plot, the symbol locks into place. Bearing, range, depth, all confirmed. The submarine's attempt to reposition has boxed it between the ship and the buoy field, a corridor that tightens with every second. The helicopter shifts its orbit, dropping another buoy to close the gap. From above, the sea still looks empty. From below, it has become crowded with invisible lines. The submarine turns again, sharper this time. A desperate angle change meant to spoil the solution, it only makes things worse. The turn exposes a fresh aspect to both ship and buoys. Noise spikes again. Cavitation blooms, then vanishes as speed falls away. Too late. Contact fully exposed. No one celebrates. No one smiles. This is not a dramatic finish. It is confirmation. The submarine has lost the advantage. From this point on, every move it makes can be seen. Every attempt to disappear reveals something new. The ocean that had hidden it now carries its sound farther and more clearly. The captain studies the display, then gives the next order. Hold weapons. Maintain track. Deliberate. Controlled. This is not about destruction, it is about control. The helicopter continues its orbit, sensors locked, ready but restrained. The ship stays on course, refusing to chase, refusing to crowd. Pressure without pursuit. Below, the submarine slows almost to a crawl. Its commander understands now. The angles are gone. The quiet is gone. The advantage is gone. The contact turns away carefully. No sudden dive. No reckless burst of speed. Just a measured withdrawal along the only path still open. On the plot, the distance begins to grow. Contact disengaging. The helicopter shadows it for a while, then peels away and returns to the ship. The bows keep listening until the submarine fades beyond their reach. Its sound gradually dissolving back into the immense background of the sea. Active sonar goes dark. Silence returns. On the bridge, nothing changes. The ship continues its transit as though nothing happened. But beneath the surface, a message has already been delivered without a single word. You were detected, you were tracked, and you were allowed to leave. 6:18 local time. The ocean resets. Active systems power down. Displays dim. The buoy field is recovered where possible or left to drift, its purpose already fulfilled. On the plot, the contact line grows thinner, weaker, then breaks apart into background noise. Contact faded. Final report. No follow-up required. The ship holds its original course and speed exactly as before. From a distance, it would appear that nothing happened at all. No sharp turns, no dramatic launch, no visible signal. That is precisely the point. Inside the Combat Information Center, the work continues, not urgently, but methodically. Every minute of the encounter is pulled apart and reviewed. Acoustic signatures are cleaned and tagged. Maneuver patterns are replayed frame by frame. Every hesitation, every acceleration, every turn is measured against doctrine. What matters most is not how close the submarine came. What matters is why it chose to leave. The answer is clear now. The submarine entered the encounter believing it had identified a routine surface warship, a predictable transit, a manageable target, something to follow, measure, maybe pressure. That assumption shaped everything. It shaped the geometry it chose. It shaped the patience it showed. It shaped the moment it committed. And once the environment changed, once the helicopter arrived, once the buoy line formed, once the first controlled ping came back clean, it had no margin left. That is the quiet truth of undersea warfare. The side that reveals itself last usually holds the advantage. On this ship, restraint was never hesitation. It was timing. Every decision, staying passive, holding course, delaying the helicopter, was meant to let the other side complete its picture. Because a completed picture is easier to defeat than an uncertain one. The captain reviews the final plot. He makes no comment. He does not need to. The result explains itself. No shots fired, no damage taken, no escalation required, only control through discipline. The sonar team secures from stations. Headsets come off. Coffee is poured. The ship slips back into routine without ceremony. Watches rotate. Logs close. But the encounter does not vanish. Somewhere below the surface, a submarine is moving away with a very different understanding of what it had approached. Its crew now knows they were detected early, tracked continuously, and neutralized without force. They know the exact moment control shifted. They felt it, and that kind of knowledge stays with you. For the U.S. Navy, this is not a rare moment. It is the product of repetition, thousands of training hours, decades of doctrine, and a culture that values restraint just as much as strength. The objective was never to fire. The objective was to end the encounter on American terms. And that objective was achieved. As the sun rises higher, the sea looks unchanged, calm, empty, unconcerned. The wake stretches behind the ship in a clean white line, already beginning to fade. Below, the water holds its silence again, but not its secrets. Every sound was captured, every move was recorded, every lesson was stored. The encounter ends where it began, without spectacle. Just a ship moving forward and a reminder written quietly beneath the waves. Choosing the wrong target does not always end in flames. Sometimes it ends in realization.